I finally got around to getting the pieces to upgrade or to change this gearing system for the motor. Now, it's nice having variable speed, but really for a woodcutting bandsaw, you kind of just need one speed. This gear is really loud. As a demonstration. So that's really annoying, and that's the fastest it goes. At low speed, it's just ridiculously slow. It'd be good for cutting metal, but I'm not planning on cutting metal with this thing. So I've calculated the pulley sizes, so I have a new pulley to go on this shaft, but I need to cut a keyway in this, and obviously to do that I need to take apart this whole mechanism. So I'm going to do that, take out the shaft, throw all this stuff into storage in case I need it someday. So it'll sit, so basically Robin is going to inherit this. My 2.5-year-old is going to inherit this whole setup. I want to calculate how many surface feet per minute my bandsaw currently runs at to make doubly sure that it's worth changing the gearbox over. For wood, bandsaw should run at about 3,000 surface feet per minute. So I'm not sure what this is running at, and that's a rough guesstimate. I know some saws run faster, particularly newer saws with carbide blades and that sort of stuff, but it seems like a good number is 3,000. So I've got a silver marker there, a little piece of silver tape, and I'm going to count how many times that goes around. Well, I'm going to count for probably 20 revolutions and time how long it takes. So on one run I got 15.3 seconds for 20 revolutions, and the other run I did 15.45 seconds for 20 revolutions. So pretty close. So now I get to do the math and figure out how many surface feet per minute that is. So 15.375 seconds average divided by 60 is that. Divided by 20 gives you 0.028 minutes per revolution. Inverse that, you get revolutions per minute. So it's 78 RPM is what this wheel is spinning at. And the wheel is about 8.3 feet around. So I'm getting 653 surface feet a minute right now out of this saw. So just a fraction of what it's supposed to be. So I got the shaft out of the bandsaw. So this is what the lower wheel runs on. There's a big set screw here which pins it down onto the shaft. And before, it had just this 4 set screws here clamping on that big flywheel. So that flywheel is not the best solution. Kind of marred up the thing. So anyways, I'm going to need to cut a keyway in here. It can be anywhere in this range. I don't really want to cut the shaft short because, well, it's an antique, and not that it's likely to ever be used with a full-size pulley and on a line shaft, but I want to leave it. So I'm going to cut a key to put the pulley on. It could even be down here. So I went to my machine shop and cut a keyway in this shaft, and got the pulley mounted. It's not in its final position. The keyway is fairly long, so I can adjust the position of the pulley. And actually I think I'm also going to flip it around so I can get the pulley further in. It will have to be out a bit because the motor has to sit here. I'm going to mount it on the side down here. Could mount it other places, but there's already, well, there's 4 holes drilled in the side of this already. So I'm going to use those for the mounting system. And I've made some standoffs. Let's see. I made these standoffs on my lathe so I can, they spaced out because there's a couple of bumps on the side of the bandsaw. So that should keep everything away nicely, and I'll get a frame mounted to the side of the bandsaw and then I'll build off of that. So here's the setup. I've got a drill bit in to keep it centered, and I'm going to TIG weld this on to make a spacer onto the angle iron. So quick and ugly TIG weld there, holding it on, but you know, I don't even really need it welded. It could just be pressed up against, so that's perfectly fine. Alright, here's the plan. I've got the 4 holes around the outside. They're already threaded and tapped from the old mechanism. Now, I could put in new holes, but I'd rather not drill too many more holes in this if I don't need to. Now, the other problem is I have no idea what this hole spacing is. It's probably something random, and even if it wasn't, making something to match up to it would be a pain in the neck. So I've got these made. I'm not going to use this front upper hole, but it's still easier to film. So I'm going to use this for demonstration. That's going to get bolted on there. This one will be bolted on below, and I can put on a piece of this square tubing in between and get it exactly the right length, you know, clamp it in place, go weld it, and no measuring required even. I don't even need to measure a single thing to get this done. So I'm going to get this piece welded on. I guess I can just weld on one side, and then I'll get these bolted on first and measure the distances, rough distances I need. And then get it all bolted together. And then I'll have an L-shaped frame bolted to the side of my bandsaw, and from there I can build out whatever I need for a motor mount. So here it is. It's turning the correct direction, which is good. Yeah, so I added in some braces to here. The motor bounces a little bit, but it's not too bad. So I reused the motor mounting bar from the old mounting system, and it has a pretty neat system that the other guy came up with, whoever installed this last. This one has a larger gap on this side, and there's a cotter pin. What that lets you do is if you want to take this pivot out, you can take out the cotter pin, slide the whole thing out, and it'll swing up past this side and the whole thing will drop down. It will pivot out of the way. So that seems like a pretty useful thing to have. I might take it off and paint it, but might not. One thing I would probably change if I was to do this over again is I wanted the motor in back so it's behind and a little bit more out of the way, but I would have switched this, so rather than using this hole, I would use that one and bring the bar down, because that way I'd have more room to reach out and support this cross piece. Right now I'm a little bit close to my motor, so I can't really get the angles I would like for this cross piece. So, because it'll hit the motor. But if I had this shape over here, it would be easier to line up for the motor. So, let me see. I'll turn this on so you can see it going. Not that it's that exciting. So there it is. I'm just using the weight of the motor to tension the belt. seems like it works. I thought about making a thing to hold up the motor, but I kind of like it. You know, it makes changing the belt easy. It doesn't wobble much. Seems like the tension's reasonable. So I think I'm just going to leave it. This motor is missing its nameplate. It used to be right there, so I have no idea how many horsepower it is or what. I think it's at least a 1 horse based on its size, but I don't know. It works. Don't need to ask too many questions. I've got the pulley all installed. I got the wheels on and aligned. Before they were a little bit off. I just eyeballed them straight. So let's see. And I pushed the jointer back into the corner so the motor shaft was hitting my dust collection hose for my jointer. Try that again without that. So here we go. Much quieter than it was before. Cuts much better. It's like a whole new saw. So I still need to make a few guards because the giant wheels with no guards are a little disconcerting. It'll probably be okay. But I do like my blood inside my body. So I'm going to do something with that. And yeah. I hope you liked this video. If you did, I'd hope you'd consider subscribing. I've got a virtually endless supply of projects I could make videos about. If there's something I can do better, or if there's a type of video you'd like to see more of, leave a comment down below.